The Red Badge of Courage is a war novel by American author Stephen Crane, written in 1895. The book revolves around Henry Fleming, who was a young private for the Union Army fighting in the Civil War, who throughout the book questions his courage and ability to fight in the heat of battle. Henry is an 18-year-old boy who enlists into the Union Army against his mother's wishes. Before his first battle, Henry hypes himself up to get ready for the battle, but when the bullets started to fly, Henry ran away and abandoned his regiment. Henry is ashamed of himself for being a coward, but turns to nature to justify his motives of running away, and is also comforted when he finds out others have also fled like he has. While walking back to camp, he passes multiple dead bodies and feels like he should have died like they did, and gets even more freaked out about the next battle. Also, along the way back to camp, he encounters a wounded soldier who cries for Henry's help, but Henry just keeps on moving and never looks back. That night, Henry is kept awake by the events that have occurred that day and contemplates whether he should have stopped and helped that wounded soldier. His character has already been tested multiple times in one day, and he seems to be a terrible person thus far. The next time Henry goes into battle, he is determined to show himself and everyone else that he is a man. He forces himself to not run away this time and hold his ground. Again, when the bullets started to fly, Henry's instincts told him to run, but this time, Henry fired back at the Confederates. He fought like a madman, never yielding, and always moving forward. In the middle of the battle, the flag bearer goes down, and part of the Union Army starts to back away at the Confederates' advance. Henry picks up the fallen American flag and rallies the Union troops. He then charges into the unknown, unarmed, carrying the large flag leading the Union Army. In the end, the Union wins the battle, and Henry has grown from the cowardly little boy who ran away from battle to the brave, courageous man who led his regiment into the middle of battle.
Stephen Crane wrote many novels, but none were as successful as The Red Badge of Courage. He was born November 1st, 1871, and died June 5th, 1900. His writing made an impression on the 20th century writers, and his thoughts have inspired the modernists and the imagists of their time. He was considered one of the most innovative writers of his generation. Crane had never been to war, but his book, The Red Badge of Courage, is considered one of the most accurate portrayals of the physical and psychological effects war can have on human beings. The book portrays 2 days of an unnamed battle during the American Civil War. The battle is between Union and Confederate soldiers. It describes individual events from an aerial point of view instead of from the individual soldier. The tone of The Red Badge of Courage can be described as ironic and judgmental. I believe the author thinks of himself as the main character. This is because he seems to mock himself on many occasions. It's clear to me that Mr. Crane believes there is no such thing as true courage, and that no man ever wants to risk his life to save others. The main characters of the story include Henry Fleming. He is known as the Youth. The book revolves around him and his growth, failure, and successes. The next character of the story is Jim Coughlin. He is known as the Tall Soldier. He's very confident, he's very experienced, and mature. He's Henry's best friend in the book, and he guides Henry on many things. There's Wilson. He's the loud soldier. He's very boastful and argumentative. He's constantly arguing with other soldiers, and I think of him as the antagonist of the story. There's the tattered soldier, who we do not know the name of in the story. He is met when Jim dies. This is the first example of what it's not like to be a man that Henry experiences. Henry walks away from him and leaves him to die. Walking away from him proves to be the first masculine thing that Henry does. The main themes of the book are coming of age and courage. At many points, Henry must overcome challenges that he would not have been able to do before the war. At the beginning of the book, he was a scared young boy that ran away from battle. He was innocent and didn't know what war was like. After his first battle, reality hits him, and that's when he started to grow up. At the end of the book, he picks up the American flag and leads the Union Army into battle. The other theme that can be found in this book is courage, which Henry did not possess at the beginning of the book. After a number of battles, Henry forces himself to stay and fight and not run away. This can be found at the end of the book when Henry charges at the Confederates with a giant American flag. This made him a huge target. By doing this, he put the people around him ahead of himself.